Hey, everybody, welcome to Wager Talk TV. I'm Tony Mejia from Sports Memo, here to break down Game 5, a critical swing game in the Western Conference semifinals between the defending champion Denver Nuggets and the upstart Minnesota Timberwolves, who have won the previous two games at Denver's Ball Arena and will look to again take advantage of the defending champs on their home floor in order to have a chance to win the series in Minnesota later this week. But obviously, things have changed as right now, what we saw from the Nuggets in Minnesota over the previous two games is what head coach Michael Malone called the heart of a champion, channeling what Rudy Tomjanovich said about the 1990s Houston Rockets. You can never underestimate it, and certainly a lot of us sprinkled dirt on the Denver Nuggets based on what happened in games 1 and 2, where Minnesota dominated. There's really no other way to put it. They made Nikola Jokic look ordinary. They took Denver's role players out of what they wanted to do. Jamal Murray looked like a shell of himself. Michael Porter Jr. was okay. Aaron Gordon was nowhere to be found, and that's obviously all changed, over the previous couple of days in terms of what the Nuggets were able to do on an opposing arena in front of a raucous atmosphere with Timberwolves fans ready to embrace their team as the Western Conference juggernaut, having potentially knocked off Denver in their quest for a repeat. And so what we have now is the Nuggets in a position of strength once again. The total is back to in the 215s, which I still think is too low, and we'll once again talk about that at the end of the video, where I'll give out a free pick. But right now, the Nuggets are 4.5-point favorites. That's the same number that they were favored by in Game 1. They were 7-point Game 2 favorite because everybody assumed that they would bounce back from catching that Game 1 loss. And then obviously they were dominated. No Rudy Gobert in Game 2 for Minnesota was another reason why that number skyrocketed past the 4.5, because he was away, visiting with his newborn son, being present at the birth of little Romeo. That's what he named him, and wasn't able to get back to Denver for Game 2. So everybody anticipated that Nikola Jokic would have a field day. Instead, we saw Karl Anthony Towns step up, and the Timberwolves swarm in their best defensive performance of the entire season. And so Gobert being back, he's not being scapegoated just yet, but he's clearly wasn't as effective as he was in Game 1 or earlier this season, as he finished as the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year without much qualms from anybody, given his presence and his defensive win shares and whatnot. Victor Wembanyama got some support, but Gobert was the rightful winner for the fourth time in his career, first time with the Timberwolves. But he hasn't made much of a dent against Jokic since returning in Games 3 and 4, and has been a liability on the offensive end. So we'll see if his minutes are cut into in Game 5. Naz Reid could certainly play a little more and be more of a factor. And again, I'm anticipating that, which is why I like the over as my top play, the free pick here at Wager Talk TV. And again, I'll dive into that a little more. But let's talk about Denver and their home court advantage. First of all, they were 34-7 this season as a home team. They're 69-17 over the last two seasons at Ball Arena. Only the Boston Celtics had a better regular season home record than Denver this year. And that 69-17 record takes into account their Game 1 and 2 losses to the Timberwolves. So, this is a team that hasn't lost 3 straight at home since March of 2022. That's what the Timberwolves are going to try to hand them. Look, the Wolves had a rough Game 3. I think we witnessed Denver with its back up against the wall, responding and dominating the way that we anticipated they would at home. Game 4 was a different story. Game 4, we saw Anthony Edwards, who, after saying that he didn't come out with the requisite energy to pump up his team in Game 3 and vowed to be better in Game 4, was amazing. He was the best player on the floor, for Minnesota by a lot. Finished 16 for 25 from the field, 5 of 8 from three-point range. Finished with 44 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, and was everything that you would have expected from him. Mike Conley Jr. stepped in and helped alongside him. He had 15 points and 9 assists. Took the shots that he needed to, make the passes that he needed to. Finished 3 for 7 from 3. What let down the Timberwolves on Sunday night was its front court. Very little from Jaden McDaniels, who you expected more from. Karl Anthony Towns really struggled for a guy that calls himself the best shooting big man in the NBA. He shot just 1 of 4 from 3 and uncharacteristically went 2 for 4 from the free throw line. We already mentioned that Gobert struggled. So Minnesota is going to need their front court to really step up because Jokic wasn't feeling them whatsoever. He looks like he's in his bag again, which is what we expect from him. 35, 7, and 7, constantly making all the right plays, 15 of 26 from the field, and he got significant help from Aaron Gordon, who made shot after shot, finished 11 of 12 from the field. He is shooting the ball extremely well of late after some confidence issues earlier in the series. So we're seeing Gordon step up. And we saw Jamal Murray hit timely shots. He had a stretch there where he carried the Nuggets, as he's prone to do. Finished with 19, 5, and 8, 8 for 17 from the field. Hit 3 three-pointers, none bigger than the one he hit right before halftime, a 55-footer that really changed the game. I mean, look, you take two things into account if you were the Minnesota Timberwolves and try to get yourself off the mat. You were with Denver for the duration of this. Threw the first punch, dominated early. They came back, had a huge run, took control. But late in that first half, the Timberwolves were able to cut that deficit to 7. Clock's ticking down towards 20 seconds. Contavious Caldwell-Pope hits a huge 3. You have the ball down 10. Ideally, you make a shot there. Anthony Edwards with the ball in his hands and cut it to single digits at the break. Instead, Edwards fumbled the ball away. Good defense by Denver. They turned it into a Michael Porter Jr. breakaway dunk. Up by 12, you can still stomach that. Ill-advised pass, picked off, and then Murray hits a 55-footer, and you're down 15 at the break. And it should be noted that Minnesota never got within 7 points once again in that game. They got it to, they were down double digits the entire third quarter, cut it inside single digits on the first bucket of the fourth, and then really were down 10 to 12 points the rest of the way until the final minute or two where they got it down to 7. But again, Denver kept them at an arm's length because of Jokic's brilliance in terms of making the right play when he needs to at the right time during the shot clock, and the fact that guys made free throws down the stretch. So you've got a situation here where the Nuggets have control of the series again. They were 10-1 in the playoffs at home during last season's championship run. So they've already lost more games there through the first 4 games of the 2024 postseason. The Lakers were able to push them in the first 2 games in Denver. And really in game 5, the elimination game, they were in that as well. So the Nuggets really have to put together their best effort on the road. We'll see if that happens here. But I thought that game 1, that total was too low. And even with the Nuggets scoring, I believe 4 points in the first 6 minutes of the entire first half, we still had a situation where if Aaron Gordon is able to hit Denver's final field goal attempt in game 1, that game goes over the posted total. And so right now, I think that 215.5 is a little low, especially since the last 2 games have gone over. So we're going to go on the high side. Typically, when you see 2 teams familiar with one another, they know what they want to do on the defensive end. I think the opposite is true here. They've gotten comfortable offensively, and with Gobert not bothering Jokic, with Anthony Edwards doing whatever he wants against big brother Contavious Caldwell-Pope and any other Denver perimeter defender, I think both catalysts have it going, and we're seeing both teams execute offensively. Naz Reid shoot the ball well for Minnesota. I think he'll get more time with Rudy Gobert's minutes potentially sacrificed, given that he's given them little impact on the offensive end. Reggie Jackson shot the ball well in his 9 minutes off the bench, finished with 6 points. That was also a big deal in the Game 4 win for Denver, as they got tremendous contributions from their bench. Something that they were really looking at as a potential weak spot in this series, in this postseason run, because they lost Jeff Green last season. They lost, a couple of their glue guys. Brown went off to Toronto to chase a bag, as he should. So really a bench that has Christian Brown now as the sixth man, could be a weakness for Denver going forward, but certainly an area of strength in Game 4. Brown had 11 points off the bench, hit his only three-pointer, and Holiday had 10 points in 19 minutes and has been tremendous shooting the ball from beyond the arc. So we'll see if that continues at home. But whatever way Game 5 goes in terms of Minnesota breaking through and dealing Denver a third consecutive home loss, or the Nuggets showing off that heart of a champion again and going back to Minnesota up 3-2, I think it'll happen in a high-scoring game. We're going to ride the over on 215, 215 and a half, depending on where you see it, as the number is going up. So hop on board as early as possible so you can get the best number. Once again, I want you to like and subscribe these videos here on Wager Talk TV so we can keep doing what we're doing and getting you free content and growing in popularity. Hope you have a wonderful, profitable week. For Wager Talk TV, I'm Tony Mejia. You can find all of my stuff at Sports Memo, and God bless.